Yeah. First, let me first say I am surprised by your endurance that since we came here up to now, you are all still almost here. I'm so happy and surprised. Now, talking to the youth from Mount Kenya. Mount Kenya is the Agikuyu, Ameru, Embu, Tharaka, and Mbere. They used to be called Gema before. But how did they become such a closely knit community? It is because of the colonial past. And these are the people who really felt the brunt of colonialism that time. Because when the struggle started, and then the colonialists declared a state of emergency, these people became a special and endangered community. I'm holding here a pass. This pass is called Kikuyu Embu Meru Passbook. That during that state of emergency, you could never travel without this passbook. It is what enabled you to travel. And it says identity, registration number, name Simon Warurwa Ngugi, tribe Kikuyu, district Fort Hall, location Gatanga, chief Ndunu, sublocation Ruegeda, occupation clerk, age or age group 29 years. This is Kandara, October 21st, 1958. And inside here it shows movement permit. Movement from, you have to state where you come from, to where you are going to, via, valid between when and when, and the movement permit register entry number, issued at, and so on and so forth. So you had to have this one here at that time. And the radio used to announce when we were young that Kikuyu, Meru, Embu ni watu hatari. Ikiwa ni mmoja akipita, piga report kwa polisi mara moja. That's how we grew up. Okay? So, and that is what has brought us together today. That's where we're coming from. But later on now, all the other Kenyans joined and it became a nationalist movement that brought independence to our country. I just want to tell you two stories very quickly. We have here with us my friend S.K. Macharia. S.K. Macharia is a living testimony to struggle, to dedication, and to achievement. Because S.K. Macharia left this country on a bus, and he had only 1,500 shillings. And he was going to the United States of America. So he went to America by road. It took him 9 months to reach America. It took him 9 months. And then now in America, he struggled, working to get money to pay fees, and he managed to study and excel. So that at 20 independent, he was now invited to come here, the story which is stated. But then even here, when he came, after he left government, he started a business. He experienced a lot of problems because there was now a regime that was anti-business. He started a company called Madhu Paper to produce toilet papers. Frustrated. Seriously, I saw this myself. And they basically closed that company. But he did not give up. He started Royal Media. Went on with Royal Media. I have been present when his offices were invaded. And the business had been invaded, they took equipment and so on. SK was fighting with the police physically when I went to join him in his office. So you are seeing here a true Kenyan patriot and a dedication, a testimony that with sacrifice, commitment, and dedication, you can achieve. SK's story, you can actually compare it to that of Mr. Hilton, who started as a shoeshine boy, or Mr. Benz, who eventually started Mercedes-Benz, or Mr. Toyota. Yours truly here. You say we are dynasty. Dynasty, now my story. My father came from a very poor background. And he could not even go to school properly. Because my grandfather did not want to hear anything about education. Kuku yangu inasoma, mtoto yangu inasoma nini? When he started school at Maranda, primary school then, went to Maseno. Then now he was a very sad student. When the sister of a Mzungu called Kerry Francis saw him, then she told her brother that there's a young boy here who is intelligent, but he seems to be very sad. So the Kerry Francis called him. And he said that my fear is that I lack education. But if I go back home, I will not come back. Because my father will not pay school fees. So Kerry Francis adopted him. So during school holidays, he would do menial tasks in the school and get money to pay his fees. That is how he moved from Maseno to Alliance High School to Makerere. Then, after a while, he disagreed with he came back and taught at Maseno. Eventually disagreed with the colonialists, resigned, and started a business in Kisumu. So that's where we were brought up. I was born in Maseno, brought up in Kisumu. And then those days, in Kisumu, we grew up in an estate called Kaloreni. Running around, we also used to look after cows. Those days, there were cows in the towns. Then we started education there. I remember when the king died, King George, we were made to sing by the teacher. King George wetu mfalme mkuu amekwisha aga dunia. Sijui kama atarudi tena. So we went there, we were nursery, primary 1, 2. Then our father decided that the life in town was making us too much wakora, and decided to remove us to take us to rural school, where he had gone to school. Then we were in standard 2, going to standard 3. So when we went down there, because in the rural areas, people were going to school when they were very old. So they said, these children cannot go to standard 3. You're made to start again down there, almost like as a nursery, coming up, losing 3 years of education. But that did not discourage us, because you sit in class with children, you're being taught things you already know, but you have to persevere and go on like that. Then it reached a time, because Jaramogi had disagreed with Carrie Francis, because he felt that Carrie Francis was looking down upon Africans that were not equal to Europeans. Even the school where he was teaching, there were 2 separate quarters for European teachers and quarters for African teachers. And then so their relationship became love-hate. So it came a time when my elder brother did an examination, and this was called CAPE. And he passed so highly, he was one of the top children in then the so-called South Nyanza. So, and he had written his first choice, Alliance High School. And he was not taken Alliance. He was not even taken in Kisii High School. He was taken to Maranda High School. So my father did not agree. He came to alliance with my brother, elder brother Buru, to Carrie Francis. Carrie Francis told him, Jaramogi, I told you never to go to politics. You decided to go to politics, and you were creating a lot of problems. That's why I cannot take your child here, because he's going to create problems in this school. And I've also already told the headmaster in Kisii High School not to take him. So my father was very annoyed. Then he decided to relocate us to schools out of the country at that time. But he already did not have a passport. His passport had been impounded because he had gone to China in those days, the Red China. But that's another story. He was now traveling on a passport given to him by the late Kwame Nkrumah, President of Ghana, and another one by Gamal Abdel Nasser, President of Egypt. So he took Oburu, he smuggled Oburu with him without a passport to Addis Ababa, where he got some traveling documents, and then to Khartoum, Cairo, then to Europe. Me, I was put on an OTC bus. From here, I traveled on a bus, OTC, to Dar es Salaam. And then when I went there, I went to Mwalimu Nyerere. Nyerere is the one who gave me a traveling document, passport. So I became a son of Mwalimu Nyerere. That's why when I go to Tanzania, they say, I know I've come back home. So Mwalimu adopted me and then gave me a traveling document. That's how I ended up in Europe. But I went first to Cairo, where I was arrested because I did not have a valid vaccination certificate. In those days, smallpox and yellow fever. I was put in a quarantine at the airport in Cairo for 4 days. Then I went into town, and I lived in Cairo in an estate called Zamalek. And I became part of that society. Gamal Abdel Nasser, President of Egypt, welcomed me. And I became, because I was a soccer player, I became a member of Zamalek Football Club. And from there, now I went by ship we drove through the desert to Alexandria. Down there we boarded a ship. We went overnight to a place called, to Syria, a port called Latakia. The ship docked because it was a passenger cargo ship. We left Latakia when the ship was still loading and went to Damascus. When I arrived, I didn't know that Damascus was on earth when we were being taught in school. So we went to Damascus after the place where Paul became converted. Saul became Paul. So there used to be my uncle who was very religious and he used to tell us about Damascus in heaven. So I went and got a postcard and wrote to my uncle and told him I'm in Damascus. It is on earth. From there we now travel along across the Mediterranean, the route that Peter and Paul were taken to when they were being taken to Rome because they had refused to be tried under the Jewish law. That route all the way to an island called Malta. Then Malta, there we met an African American who was in that island. He welcomed us, we had a good time. From there we went back to Africa in Tunis. From Tunis to Algiers. From Algiers we travel now toward Gibraltar. But before getting to Gibraltar, we had to be baptized in the ship. Because people in the sea are